Right, did anyone manage to work out what very tacky 80s music I was listening to last week? Oh, I know. It's a bit sad, isn't it? But hopefully you worked out what the mystery was. I'm listening to something different this week, but don't panic. I don't always listen to music. Sometimes I listen to talking books. So that's that side and that side little bulkhead uprights tacked in, and they line up with that, so the bulkhead will come across there. At some point I'll have to do something across the top, probably do something across the top. It might well be that I can just connect up with what's coming down there. Okay, so those are in place. The other simple one to do is, which way round did I decide it was going from bottom to top, is this one to go into there. And now we've got the end point that will go in there. Not welded in yet, but it's all ready to go. I've had to fully weld around the top there because there's an intersection. And I've got the other side ready to go, but I'm calling it a day in here now. Where are we with 6 is 42 past 6, so it's time for me to get my tea on. But I'll be back out here in the morning, going to weld those on, get the one on the other side, weld that on, and then it will be decision time about this X thing going on and the pole coming down. Okay, so catch you tomorrow morning. So we're the following day. Freezing cold out here, but a nice cup of coffee to get my brain working. I'm thinking a little bit about this project and the improbability drive of being able to get this to 200 mile an hour. I think perhaps I should recall it PX 300 and aim for 300 kilometers an hour. Anyway, just a thought. And then once those are in, I can then decide quite how I'm going to support these at the top. May just be a bit going forward, or even we can probably better still make a bit of a cross out of the front, and this will all be support. So this will be like a major stress area there, but it will be support to effectively. That big stress bit there ain't going to move because it's got these and those, and then if this is connected straight to that, it's going to stop any movement backwards, and if we're connected there, it's going to stop any twist that way. I have to put a bit more down anyway. Let's have a think about that. At some point I've got to work out exactly how I'm mounting the shock in here as well. The size of these bike shocks is actually quite good because they're fairly compact, so they're actually going to fit quite nicely in. So there'll be a bell crank mounted on here, and then I can have shock mount there. So it'll probably be a case of I'll put a couple of bars across here. With the width gap between them being that gap, and then they can bolt into there, which should give that a really rigid position for the shocks. So I've got the two little side ones tacked in. It gives us a nice triangle there, lots of triangles, and same on the other side. I've got the cross bit cut for here. What I'm going to do, although it's not structurally ideal, is I'm going to weld to there, and I'll probably put a web across here. The reason for this being is it's a good old compromise thing again. If I attach to there, it's best for structure, but then when I try and build some body work, I've got all this sort of area of body here that won't have anything to attach to. And of course, if it's got nothing to attach to, you've got to make it much stronger, which means thicker, which means heavier. So I thought if I attach to the sort of top of the curve, I've then got a good attachment point for the body work. And like I say, I'll probably either put a curved or probably just a sort of a web in here to support the two. I'm going to have to try and be a bit clever now though, because trying to support that for welding, I've got nothing here to stick a magnet to, so I suspect it's going to involve a lot of bits of metal falling back down and making lots of clattering and me getting arsey with it. Let's have a go. So do you like your bird's eye view up there? In case you were wondering, you are currently on the top of the rear roll bar. Right, so this fits from here to there. How am I going to construct something to hold that in? Do the simple bit first. Right, what I'm going to do is bring everything over so that I've got every alternative to hand. Small magnet, big clamp, small clamp. Right, don't move. Breathe. That needs to be about there. So this is where time on these projects can really go, because you think, oh, I just weld this in, won't take a minute. Well, at least that's how my mind goes, and being around like this will take quite a while. If you're shouting at your screen the answer is a jig, I know. Maybe a jig would have been the right thing to do. So now, get a couple of tack welds on there before a mouse farts somewhere else in Hampshire. What mouse would be called? I don't remember the name of the mice. White mice, isn't it? 2 white mice. Check. So why have I got white mice on my mind? Yeah, I know. That was not very good, was it? Sometimes the arc in the corner, the arc seems to want to stay on one bit and not go on the other. I'm not entirely sure why. That's what it was trying to do then. Well, quite successfully doing. Got that one tacked in now. And I've got to cut this bar, so I've just put this little thin one in so I can kind of wedge it underneath, and I will mark up the points of contact, if you like. There's obviously where I've got to do a bar, a weld, a bar, a weld. It's when trying to do this with the 20mm, it's obviously very important to make sure I know exactly where that point is, because obviously I've got to make 1 bar, 2 bars, and they need to meet in the middle. So I'll have a bit of a mess around with this, get this in the correct positions and mark that up. And then tricky with doing this kind of getting things in line is like I can't really use a ruler because of this being on curves. I suppose I could measure the distance in a straight line from there to there, but it is a case of the good old Mark 1 eyeball does a fairly good job. So we can see there that needs to go a little bit further round. I think what I'll do is I'll do both. I'll get it in by eye, then I use a ruler to kind of double check. Have 6 centimeters, so I'm fairly happy when we look at it with option number 1 with an eyeball. I know that look, so that's bent underneath. It actually is straight that way. I think the camera would be in wide angles kind of distorting that a little bit. So that bit there looks pretty well the same to me. doing the curve measurement thing from my mark on the start of the curve is the same. So I think that's probably about as good a way as I can do it. So I will then mark this middle point and I can start then making the bar to go to there and then another bar to go to there. And the handy thing is some of these bars I screwed up earlier are just about the right length, so that's good. Nicely marked up there. And what I'll do is I'll just put a pot mark in there as well, just in case that gold paint stuff comes off. I've still got a reference mark. So that's the bottom one all done. I'm always quite pleased with these when you can see I've only got one magnet holding it in, so I know I haven't made like a total Belgium of it, because that end's sort of self-supporting really, because the fish mouth thing fits quite nicely. I'm always pleased with that. Right, okay, so now I need to do this longer one. Let's hope I can do that without screwing up. Right, it's starting to look pretty similar. Obviously I did decide to go for the full cross, as I was talking about. I can't think why I was doing it like that. Anyway, yeah, so those are tack welded in. I've tack welded in this bit down the middle. I said to you that's pretty well just there to support the bodywork. It's quite thin EWR. You can see there it is. So I just need to put a little bit there just to sort of support that. And I haven't done the braces yet for this chassis suspension mount. The reason being, the obvious choice is forward like that, but then it gets in the way where the shock will go. I think it's likely I might do a kind of a web up from about here, sort of a triangle web like that. Gusset. Someone please tell me the proper name for them. Gusset web, I don't really know. Obviously I need to make sure there's room to get that bolt in and out. I guess if I do use 2 or 3 mil plate to make a web, I can have a hole in the middle of it for accessing that. It will go, because obviously the bulkhead's going to be here, so it might not actually go too far forward, because what I couldn't have is a web going into the passenger compartment, because that would be definitely a no-no for the IVA. I'd have to do radiuses and all sorts of things, and it's just a pain in the ass. It might be, I might do that, but you know, we'll see. It is doable. Yeah, so that's the end of this video, because this one was front cross braces, and I've done the front cross braces plus a bit. So it's Saturday and it's time, I think, to go get a coffee, and my plan is to have a wander down the road and go down a Milliways and have a coffee before tomorrow, when it might be bringing engine in, or it might be making, no, I can't make the suspension because I'm still waiting for the parts from a nameless kit car supplier. I don't know if it was on this video or the one before. If you use any part suppliers, eBay or, you know, like online ones who are reliable, can you let me know who they are? Because everyone I've used are just, you know, they just say, oh yeah, it'll be sent this week, it'll be this week, and it just never arrives. Anyway, that's the end of that whinge. I'm really pleased with how this has come together now. One of the other things I'll be doing tomorrow is clambering up and having a little sit in the car and just God knows what I would do if it's the wrong size, but so I can just check my pedal box is in the right position and make sure we're all okay. So that's some fun and games to look forward to in the next video. In the meantime, please do the subscribe thing, the like thing, and if you do have a couple of quid going spare and feel like you'd like to help this project along a bit, feel free to use that tip jar thing, which will all be coming along just in a second. Cheers and bye!